Story. Intense and focused on the mound, emerging as one of the most consistent starters in baseball. Today, Jordan goes for win number 9 against Minnesota. Game 1 of the Twin Bill starts now.
Washington Nationals baseball. Washington Nationals baseball.
It is such a nice Sunday in Washington, D.C. Let's play 2 today. Let's play a day game and come back and play 1 tonight. We invite you to stick around and join us all afternoon long as the Nationals try to get back in the winning track with Game 2 against the Minnesota Twins. Johnny Holiday, FP Santangelo. Happy Sunday, everybody. Boy, the Nats bats got to get rolling, and got to get rolling consistently, FP.
Well, yeah, it's time. Everybody keeps saying it's early. It's not early. The offense has to figure things out and start scoring some runs. If it was that easy, they would have already done it. But when you talk about this year, 198 versus left-handed pitching, you see the runs per game at 2.0 in the last 7 games, a batting average 205. But Scott Diamond this year, left-handers are hitting 339 against him, right-handers hitting 307 against him, and the opponent's hitting 315 against today's lefty for the Twins. And he'll face Jordan Zimmermann, 2 earned runs or last 10 of his last 12 starts, 3rd in the National League in wins, and check out the last 6 home starts, 5-0 with a 1.23 ERA. So Nats have their ace going today in Game 1.
He has not lost a game at Nationals Park since last May 17th. Unbeaten at home this year. Diamond also unbeaten on the road. We'll be back. We'll meet the starting lineups. First pitch coming up. Nats against the Minnesota Twins. PNC Bank for the achiever in you, and by Hyundai, new thinking and new possibilities.
Guy's got a hose right there.
Train game time temperature this afternoon as they wet down the field for the final time, and good crowd expected again. Sellout last night, more than 41,000 on hand, 41,587 to be exact. 81 degrees as we're set to get with the first pitch. No winds at all today. Humidity at 62% and mostly cloudy here in Washington. Trane celebrates its 100th anniversary by offering irresistible financing. It's hard to stop a train, really, really hard. Minnesota, after that win last night, 4-3 in 11 innings. They'll go with Escobar. At third, he'll lead off. Clete Thomas, Ryan Doumit, Justin Morneau on the cleanup spot will be at first. Chris Parmelee plays right today. Aaron Hicks, Ryan Dozier, Pedro Florimon, and Scott Diamond on the mound. Dobit had that game-winning RBI yesterday.
Jordan Zimmerman takes the mound for the 13th time this year, 8-3 record. You see the low ERA, 2.16, 53 strikeouts and just 11 walks. The opponent's average just 214. Look what righties are hitting. It gets him 162. Last time out against the Mets on the 4th. He got the no decision in the Nats 3-2 win. He gave up just 2 runs on 4 hits over 8 solid innings. Struck out 4, walked 1 through 101 pitches. 71 of those for strikes. Check out the defense for the Nats today. Steve Lombardozzi gets the start in left field. Jeff Kobernus gets his first major league start in center field. Worth in right. Desmond Zimmerman standard on the left side. Rendon LaRoche on the right side. Kurt Suzuki behind the dish. First big league start in center field.
Got to be exciting for him, huh?
First big league start, period.
Yeah. Kobernus in left field today. Davey Johnson said last night, got his dander up a little bit with things not being as consistent as he wanted. First pitch of the ball game. In for a ball. Conroy behind the plate. David Rackley at first. Scott Berry will be umpiring at second today. Tim Welke, the crew chief, down at third.
Make a play. Nice.
Escobar lines it down the left field line, and it's foul. We will be together until the evening hours tonight, FP. You guys take off right after the second game, don't you?
Yep.
Heading to Colorado, bouncing ball. Roche at first. He'll toss on to Zimmerman. 1 up, 1 down to the top of the first. Good start for Jordan, looking for his 9th win of the year.
I'll tell you what, there's no pitcher-catcher combination in baseball that has more fun throughout the course of a game than Kurt Suzuki and Jordan Zimmerman. We'll keep an eye on those guys today.
Yeah, we had a couple of shots the other night of them in the dugout. Smiles in both of their faces. They really enjoy it.
They have fun with each other. They have fun playing the game. That's the way it should be.
Now Clete Thomas, he gets the start today for Ron Gardenhire in left field. It was 1 for 1 yesterday. Nationals dropped 6 of their last 8 ball games in the last 2 in a row. And Minnesota going the other way. They've won 8 of their last 10 from the Nationals since 2007. And the 1-1 from Zimmerman. This is inside.
Well, it's just tough for a skipper that was an offensive player himself and his team, who was very good last year offensively, not to be doing what they're capable of. It's a very frustrating deal for Davey Johnson, and it's understandable. And 94 miles an hour. Little 2-seam runner. Top corner of the zone for strike 2.
In FP, it seemed like last year all the close games went the Nationals' way. They got the breaks, they got the pitching, they got the hitting, the defense all together at the same time. And so far this year, these first 60 games hadn't happened yet.
That's where you got to dig deep down as a ball club, as an individual. Look at yourself first, figure things out, try to turn things around.
Remember the 2-2 pitch, drifting back Kobernus. And he makes the out, and there's 2 down. STG inside the numbers. Best home earned run average this season. 2 Nats there among the 5. Strasburg with a 109. And Jordan Zimmerman, 123. Then Zim will face Ryan Dobit, the Twins catcher, this afternoon, with Justin Morneau on deck. They've got 2 down, just underway at Nationals Park. They take a breaking ball in for a strike. Dobit hitting 240 on the year from the right side and 241 from the left side.
That's a good pitch right there from Jordan Zimmerman. Move somebody around a little bit. Don't let them get comfortable. If you're going to go in, go in. Let them feel that 95.
And the 1-1 pitch. Got the outside part of the plate. Strike 2.
Then backdoor curveball after the 95 on our fastball in the inner half. Watch his curveball just catch the outside corner for strike 2.
Boy, that's the way to set him up, huh?
Yeah.
Keep him off balance. Dobit 2 for 5 with a game-winning RBI yesterday. Bouncer down to Desmond at short. And it's a 1-2-3. Top of the first for Minnesota. They are gone. And Jeff Kobernus will lead off, getting his first major league start today for the Nationals. into frame number 1, the bottom of the first inning, and Jeff Covertis will lead off for the Nats. And Steve Lombardozzi in the number 2 hole. Ryan Zimmerman, Jason Worth, Adam LaRoche at first. Nice little home hitting streak going for Adam. Ian Desmond, the shortstop, then followed by Anthony Rendon. He's at second today, hitting 7th. Kurt Suzuki will bat 8th. And Zimmerman on the mound hitting 9th. LaRoche since May 2nd, you saw some very impressive numbers.
And Scott Diamond takes the mound for the Twins. 11th start of the year. 26 strikeouts to 6 walks. Look at the average against 315 opponents average. Lefties hitting 339, righties 307. And he's a 3-pitch guy. Fastball, changeup, curve. Last time out June 2nd against the Mariners. He got the 10-0 win. Pitched 6 shutout innings. Allowed just 4 hits. Struck out 3, walked 1. Through 95 pitches, 57 for strikes. Here's the Twins defense behind Diamond. Thomas, Hicks, Parmalee in the outfield. Florimon Escobar on the left side. Dozier, Morneau on the right side. Ryan Domit doing the catching.
How about a quick top of the first? 13 pitches for Zimmerman and 9 strikes. That's a way to get it going. Diamond has not lost a game on the road this year. Unbeaten in 5 road starts.
All right, first big league start. First time leading off a major league game. You step in the box thinking, I'm going to get into this at bat. I'm going to see a few pitches, see what this guy's got. 0-2.
Right. Behind quickly. And he misses outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. First time that Diamond's faced the Nationals. First start. First appearance against Washington. Interleague play, he's 3-3. And the pitch did not go, says first base umpire David Rackley.
Well, let's see. David Rackley said he didn't go. And he got it right, held up. So work the count back to even.
No Jeff with a 2-2 count on him. Fouls it down the left side into the camera well behind the next to the Twins bench. Steve Lombardozzi waiting on deck. First major league start today for the young guy from California. Played at the University of California.
You see that cutter right there from Scott Diamond. When you talk to the Twins people, they'll say he reminds you a lot of Cliff Lee, the way he comes over the top. He'll cut the fastball. Got a pretty good changeup to go with it. Not afraid to pitch in. That 88-90 sneaky fast because of the short arm stroke he has. But he's a guy in his last outing gave up 4 hits in the first and settled down after that.
Fly ball to left field. On the run is Thomas to haul it in. And there's 1 down. And that'll bring up Steve Lombardozzi. 0 for 1 of a pinch hit appearance yesterday.
7-pitch AB right there. Saw some pitches, made him fire some bullets.
Lombardozzi hitting .237 from the right side with 4 RBIs. And takes a strike at the outside part of the plate. Diamond pitched pretty good the last outing, didn't he, Jeff P., against Seattle?
Yes, 6 shutout innings.
And Chris Parmalee hauls into Lombardozzi, fly to right, just 2 away. With Ryan Zimmerman coming to the plate after an 0 for 5 game yesterday. We talked about in our open about the fact the National runs have been few and far between. Only 14 the last 7 games. Bouncer up the middle. Over to make the play. Florimon on to first, and it's a 1-2-3 bottom of the first for Scott Diamond. We go to the top of the second. No score. First and Diamond 3 up, 3 down, the bottom of the first. Second inning presented by Luna. You call today for the Luna Double. Get your second room of flooring free. 877-241-LUNA. Zimmerman will face Justin Morneau, Chris Parmelee, and Eric Hicks. Justin Morneau's been having a field day interleague play with a .288 batting average. 21 home runs in his career. And Zim ahead in the count, no balls and a strike. 1 for 3 with a double from Morneau yesterday. Twins won it in 11, 4-3. Morneau fouls it back at the plate. Drifting down the third base line, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Bernard Span not in the Nats lineup today. After fouling that ball off his foot.
Let's see if he can go in the second game today. Just trying to take some time, get that thing better. Hopefully be in there in game 2.
At FP, he did not want to miss even game 1 against his former team.
Well, he doesn't want to miss any games, no matter who it's against.
Zimmerman ahead in the count and strikes out Justin Morneau.
Now, yesterday, Bernard Span, a fastball hit it right off his foot. Obviously in pain right there. You see where he got him right on top of the foot. We watched him run to second. He was hobbling around, stayed in the game. But with a day game and right back at it today, he's going to take game 1 off.
He had also fouled the ball off the same foot in Pittsburgh earlier this season. The second time he took it on the foot.
Yeah, what's funny about that is, I haven't talked to Bernard Span about it, but speed guys don't like to wear those foot guards. You start flopping around on your shoe, slows you down. If you're wondering why he doesn't wear some protection on there, well, maybe he will today, but it affects the way you run.
It does slow you down, huh?
It does.
Chris Parmelee had a 6-game hitting streak snapped yesterday for the Twins. And Zimmerman works into a 3-1 count. 0 for 2 yesterday for Parmelee. Hitting .222 with 5 home runs and 14 RBIs. Top of the second, day-night doubleheader at Nats Park. And that's the first free pass of the afternoon for Jordan Zimmerman. Parmelee on. It'll bring up Eric Hicks.
Well, you just hope that the Nationals starting rotation and maybe even the bullpen doesn't have the feeling of I have to be perfect on a given day, because if I give up 2 or 3 runs, this game's over. And that's the snowball effect to when your offense isn't doing what they're capable of doing. Now you start to put pressure on yourself as a pitcher to, I got to hit every spot, every game. That the concentration level is taken to a whole new level because of what you've seen the 4 days between starts with your offense.
And no mistakes, huh?
And the feeling of being perfect.
Yeah. No balls and a strike to Eric Hicks. 1 for 2 with a walk yesterday. Hicks hitting .256. And the Twins have their first base runner, and Parmelee down at first. Broken back, foul down the right side. That would flying past Parmelee at first. Rendon will pick it up.
A little fastball in the inner half, got a little handle action right there. Some shards going everywhere. Got a toothpick to the right. A big chunk going toward the dugout. The barrel going to LaRoche. And Hicks with a, looks like a sword left in his hand.
It sure does. And he's behind in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Hicks with 6 home runs this year.
Pretty big lead.
Just missed outside. 1-2. Hicks, a switch hitter, hits .256 right side, 160 left side. With 11 RBIs and 3 home runs from the left side of the plate. And the 1-2, that's line down. Look out. So on deck for the Twins, Brian Dozier, the second baseman. And the count goes to 1-2. Jordan this year mighty stingy. Batting average against at .214.
My foul tipped into the glove. Suzuki couldn't hold on. 95-mile-an-hour two-seamer on the outer half. Gave it a good go. Little foul tip. Watch the ball redirect just enough to move Suzuki's glove and drop out.
So the count's 1-2 And Zimmerman delivers 95 on that pitch. Misses 2-2. He has walked one. He has struck out one. And we're early in the game at the top of the second. And a change on that. That got him way out in front.
Yeah, curveball at 77 miles an hour. Pretty good sequence right there. Showed him that fastball at 95 away. Then went back with a curveball soft. And watch how far out in front Aaron Hicks is. And where that 95 on the inner half. See the rotation, the release point, spin it up there for strike 3.
Now with 2 away, Brian Dozier steps in. There with Parmelee down at first base. And it's 1-1. Minnesota as a team hitting .245. And their pitching staff with a earned run average of 4.32. And Dozier way ahead of that pitch from Jordan. Pedro Florimon on deck for the Twins. And the 1-2. Swung at a foul down the right side. LaRoche drifting back. And it's out of play. AT&T, in fact of the game, the Twins the only major league team that hasn't lost a game without hitting an opponent. They are a perfect 17-0.
Interesting.
They've won 27 games this year, 27-31. 8 of their last 11, 14-17 in the road. Swinging a foul down the right side. That's out of play. In the seats in the right field. Zimmerman, 34 pitches, 23 strikes. Near the top of the second.
And don't think that Ron Gardenhire doesn't know that stat we just put up there. It's a guy that's not afraid to jump into the sabermetrics part of baseball. He's open to new ideas. You think of him as an old school manager, and he is in some regards, but he's not afraid to listen to new ideas.
Bouncing ball foul down the third baseline. He had the utmost respect and some great comments about Davey Johnson after the game yesterday. The fact that he learned so much from Davey, who taught him, and he's done such a terrific job wherever Davey's been. And has all the respect in the world from the Nationals manager.
You hear that all the time.
That is a ball at 2 strikes to Brian Dozier. Suzuki on to first. Zimmerman gets strikeout number 3. The Nats retire. We go to the bottom of the second. 3 strikeouts for Zimmerman in that top of the second in a scoreless ball game. FP, he's on his game, isn't he?
He is.
Night doubleheader. Our freight rail works due up today for the Nationals. Well, Worth at Nats Park, FP, 280 average, LaRoche, and Desmond hitting well.
I like the white unis. Adam LaRoche has done well at Nats Park all season long.
Nice little 13-game hitting streak for Adam at home. Had a base hit yesterday. And nothing but goose eggs in that scoreboard here at Nats Park. Worth, LaRoche, and then Ian Desmond. Jason got that home run number 5 yesterday. Ball pops out of the middle. Ryan Doman doing the catching today. Ball of a strike to Worth. Hitting .248, 5 homers, and 12 RBIs. Now almost got him.
Well, if you're Scott Diamond, you're going to go with that cutter to Jason Worth. You got to get it in there. Just yank that thing a little bit too much right there. Held on too long. Now Worth in the driver's seat in a 2-1 count.
Came back to the ball club with open arms, and Tuesday line drive in the gap, base hit left field.
Well, he likes that cutter, and that was supposed to be on the outer half. It ran right back down the middle of the plate for Jason Worth, almost on the inner half at a 2-1 count. Bullet in the 5.5 hole. First base runner of the day for the Nationals, and there goes the no-hitter.
Bill Scott Diamond went out, faced LaRoche, then Desmond and Anthony Rendon. Got him hitting .245 with 10 home runs, 28 driven in. He was 1 for 5 yesterday. STG inside the numbers, 13-game home hitting streak for LaRoche, a .396 average.
Don't even look at the bottom. Didn't like the previous 9 games. Locked it in May. Turned the season around for him offensively. And lefties this year against Scott Diamond are hitting .339. 19 for 56 with 2 home runs.
Not good.
I would say it's great.
Diamond's given up 7 home runs this year. And LaRoche fouls it off down the right side. And it's 2-1. Interleague play, Diamond 3-3 with a 4.99. And there's his pitching number so far today. Here's the 2-1. They're going to pop up behind the plate out of play. And it's 2-2. Ian Desmond waiting on deck. He's riding a nice little hitting streak today. 10 consecutive for Desmond. And the 2-2. Jets Wingati. Diamond's first strikeout. Nats Live free post-game concert series comes back to Nats Park. Live lineup includes Thompson Square July 6th, Gavin DeGraw August 31st, and Montgomery Gentry September the 21st. For information about tickets and concert dates, go to nationals.com/NatsLive. So Diamond has his first strikeout of the game. Zimmerman has 3. And Desmond at base hit left field continues his hitting streak now to 11.
That first pitch off speed. He likes the first pitch. Said last year he swung it almost 50% of the time. That was the second most in baseball. This time he gets, it looks like a little cutter right there, but it's at 83 miles an hour. Drove it into left field. That's in business here in the second. First and second, 1 out. 11-game hitting streak. I went up to Ian Desmond in his locker today. I said that was one of the best plays I've ever seen at shortstop yesterday when you backhanded the ball, got up, and got rid of it quick with something out to first base. And he said he was safe. I said, I don't care. It's a great play.
It was a great play.
I mean, you did all you could. It wasn't your fault he was fast.
Yeah, that ties Desmond's career high with a 11-game hitting streak. A little something going now for the Nats here in the second, with Worth at second, Desmond at first, and just 1 away for Anthony Rendon. He had a good day yesterday, FP. 2 for 5.
A couple of knocks.
Yeah.
Average at 265. Hit the ball hard.
He's got 1 RBI to his credit thus far.
Boy, that's a tough strike for Anthony Rendon. Good pitch by Scott Diamond. He hit a spot, but anytime you see a catcher move his glove back to the strike zone, the catcher's telling you he thought it was a ball.
And the 0-2. In the dirt from ball 1.
The worst thing you could do as a right-handed hitter against a guy with a cutter, and that seems like Scott Diamond's best pitch, is look in there. If you start to look on the inner half of the plate, it's a dangerous way to go, because if you do get the pitch, generally it's foul when you barrel it up. And now you're kind of cheating and starting your swing early and opening up your front side to get to it, and it opens up that changeup and anything else away. So you just still got to look for something out over the plate, even though you know a guy's going to pound you in.
Rendon with a high fly to left field. Drifting back is Thomas, and he's at the warning track and holds it in. And Worth quickly gets back to second.
I gave it a ride.
Sure did.
Yeah, off-speed pitch down the zone. Got a little extension right here. The curveball. Look at him dig that out. Head to the baseball. Thomas goes back to the wall, catches this ball, and then throws an absolute laser beam to second base. Jason Worth was halfway. Look at this throw. Tried to double him up, and Worth just got back in.
Mighty close at second. Though with 2 out, that'll bring up Kurt Suzuki for the first time. A 1 for 4 afternoon yesterday with a double. And Scott Diamond trying to get out of a little bit of hot water here in the second, with the Nationals threatening at second with Worth. Diamond with 25 pitches, 18 strikes so far. First start against the Nats. First appearance against them.
And watch Jason Worth at second base. He looks interested in stealing third here with 2 outs. Seeing Desmond watching intently on the backside. The only danger with that is if you do steal third, you wonder if Ron Gardenhire would put Kurt Suzuki on to pitch to Jordan Zimmerman in a 2-out situation.
Probably a good chance he would. One ball and 2 strikes to Suzuki. That's 2 hits in this inning. And Diamond, the left-hander, 12-9 last year for Minnesota. 26 years old, 6'3", 230. Check swing and pouncing on it. Domet will throw to first. And the inning is over. We go to the top of the third. That's and Twins are scoreless.
Verizon Fios Exmo, a little one hopper, tried to hold up his swing, so the ball hit in front of the plate, then hit Kurt Suzuki's bat. So I guess on Todd Helton last week for the Rockies actually put a ball to play a line drive on one hop. That time Kurt Suzuki with a check swing on a one hopper, a ball that hit the ground. So he's 0 for 1 in cricket.
Switch to 100% fiber optic Verizon Fios. Supercharge your internet speed. Diamond 28 pitches, 20 strikes. And Jordan Zimmerman getting set to work the top of the third. 36 of his pitches for strike. 25 of the 36 for strikes. How many times have you seen that happen where the ball hits the ground first?
I just saw it 3 with the Exmo. And then I saw the only other guy I've seen do that, and it was Vladimir Guerrero, hit a ball in the right center field gap off the wall in a hop. And it was in Montreal. Might have been his rookie year or his second year. He was a guy that we used to marvel at because every at-bat he went up to the plate with zero game plan whatsoever. He'd grab whoever's bat was in the rack, not even his own. He'd walk up there with no batting gloves. And he'd just swing at whatever and hit 300 every year, never walk. And they'd show all these graphics about how Vladimir Guerrero was never struck out. He was a tough out. Well, it's because he swung at the first pitch all the time, and a lot of times it was in the dirt.
Well, Jordan Zimmerman strikes out Florimon for his 4th strikeout. He struck out the side in the second. Now he leads off with a strikeout of Florimon to begin the third.
Yeah, fastball 93, top of the zone. 4 of the last 5 batters have struck out against Jordan. He's starting to slow down a little bit and get in that groove, and look out when he does.
Did you and his teammates in Montreal think that, well, what he's doing, maybe we ought to try this if it's working for him?
No, because we all knew we weren't a freak like he was. I mean, you can't just walk up there and swing at the major league level and hit 300. You have to look for a pitch in a spot, have a game plan, think about what this guy's going to do to me in this situation, what pitch I'm sitting on. And with Vladdy, he just grabbed a bat, whoever's bat, and go up there and hit a double off the wall on a hop.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Scott Diamond. 1 away, top of the 3rd, still scoreless here in Nats Park. Line drive. Caught somebody there. Hope he was paying attention right behind the Twins dugout. Wow. Anytime you come to a ball game, FP, boy, you got to be aware, don't you?
Well, that close, there's not a whole lot you can do, Johnny.
That grazed off the top of the guy's cap. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Scott Diamond with 1 away in the 3rd. And he takes the high, ball 3.
We talk about Jordan Zimmerman's work rate. He's really good at slowing himself down. Feels like he's getting a little too fast out there. He'll back off the mound like he just did. Now take a deep breath and slow things down.
And strikeout number 4. Number 5.
Keep going.
Yeah.
6, 7. I mean, the way he's going right now, he's in the groove. And when you talk about his work rate, I don't know there's anybody in baseball as fast or faster with the work rate than Jordan Zimmerman. Former teammate of mine in San Francisco, Kurt Reeder, comes to mind. A guy that if you look down at your shoelaces or the dirt, you'd look up and he'd be at his release point. And you just wonder why everybody else doesn't work as fast as Jordan Zimmerman, because it is some kind of pleasure to play behind guys like this.
He has walked 11 batters this year. He has struck out 58. And he's retired the last 5 on strikeout.
Curveball's been his best pitch today, too. It's been a beauty all day long.
Escobar up for the 2nd time with a ground out in the 1st inning. And the 1-2 pitch. That's outside for ball 2. Lee Thomas on deck for the Twins, then Doman, and Justin Morneau. Escobar in the leadoff spot. The Twins have really had problems getting a leadoff batter to hit consistently. Their average with all the leadoff batters only 181 since Span left.
This might have been a changeup or a backup slider at 87 on the outer half.
Swinging a foul down the left side up in the seats.
Let's watch Jordan. I mean, he just gets it and goes. And he can't wait to throw the next pitch. And when you know what your catcher is going to call before he calls it, and you're on that kind of wavelength, let's get this thing going, man.
And the 3-2 foul back.
And Suzuki get a ball right back, get it to him. Whenever see him walk around the mound, he's telling you he thinks he might be going a little too fast.
That's why that catcher and pitcher relationship has to be so special, isn't it? Off his foot and fouled in the box. No, Escobar trying to shake it off. And the count is full to Pedro Escobar.
We got Schinberger right here. Where'd this get him? And right off the lower shin, upper ankle.
Yeah.
You see the react right there. Hit that ball squarely off his leg.
Well, the count is full with 2 down. The Twins top of the 3rd. And Jordan Zimmerman gives up the 2nd walk. Both batters on base today via the free pass. PNC minor league report. Good news for Christian Garcia last night, FP.
Oh, yeah, you look at his numbers. 4 rehab games. ERA's at 3. And Syracuse last night got the job done. So, yeah, a guy that was absolutely filthy out of the Nats bullpen last year late in the season.
PNC Bank for the achiever in you. And the Nats think an awful lot about Christian Garcia, too. Don't they had him in their plans in spring training? Clete Thomas up for the second time. Flied out to Carbentus in the center field in the first inning. He's 0 for 1. Jordan Zimmerman, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks thus far. Check swing, foul back. And quickly heading the count. 0-2. Ron Gardenhire is the manager for the Twins in his 12th season. He has won 6 AL Central Division titles. Another 6 back of the Tigers with play starting today, and Indians in second place, 4.5 out. Another foul back into the stands. Phillies and Milwaukee playing this afternoon. No score on the first. And later on, the Braves at Los Angeles against the Dodgers. The Nationals trying to make up some ground. They're 8 games back in the East.
Almost got him right there. Little lean going by Escobar here at first base. Watch that little hesitation. Good throw right on the money. Just got in there. And watch LaRoche look to David Rackley to sell the call.
Back safely, back again safely. Clete Thomas, the short time he's been up with the Twins, 1 for 6.
Bigger lead.
And the 0-2. Swinging a high infield pop. Anthony Rendon lost it.
Boy, you can see that coming.
The Sun.
You can see that coming all the way. He was fighting it. The sun right in his eyes. And there's no excuse for not having sunglasses on in a day game. Sorry. That's what they're for. I mean, you can shade your eyes all you want, but when you look right into that sun, you need some kind of protection on your eyes to make the play. And you could tell he just was fighting it the whole way, lost it at the end, and had kind of just a general idea where that ball was, stabbed at it late. And that's obviously scored an error.
Yeah, but that's 45th of the year.
Yeah, LaRoche got his shades on the right side. It's a guy that knows where the sun is in a 1 o'clock start in a day game.
So Jordan Zimmerman up against Ryan Domit now with that error allowing Thomas to get the first. Escobar down at second. Domit with a ground out his first time up. The Desmond at short. Hitting .239. 1-1 pitch. Check swing in there for strike. 94 in the gun that time.
94 on the inner half. Good frame by Suzuki to get the call. Perfectly placed fastball. Trying to pick up Anthony Rendon right here with runners on first and second.
And the pitch, swinging foul back. Domit doing the catching this afternoon. 2 for 5 yesterday, the game-winning RBI on the 11th. And the 1-2 to Doman. Strikeout number 6.
On a changeup right there. 87 miles an hour, fading away from Doman. Great pitch. Ready to pick up your team.
Nationals got some good news, and she got some news anyhow about Bryce Harper. Let's get our sideline report from Julie Alexandria, brought to you by AFCEA, the Association for Global Security Professionals. Julie?
Hey, Johnny. Well, while the rest of the team geared up for the doubleheader today, Bryce Harper was packing his things in the clubhouse, getting ready to leave for Florida, where he will be assessed and get a second opinion from Dr. James Andrews. Now, General Manager Mike Rizzo has said, this is standard procedure. When any guy has an injury, you want to get a second opinion. But the name does conjure up some thoughts of some serious issues when it comes to the knee. But Mike Rizzo assures us, he says that the in-house Nats doctors say that the knee is healing well, the swelling has subsided, and now it will be up to Dr. Andrews to assess the situation. Now, as far as Ross Detweiler is concerned, some good news there. He made a rehab start at Potomac yesterday, and Mike Rizzo says it went very well. Wishing them both the best. Guys?
Okay, Julie, thanks so much. As they look ahead at Pete Detweiler could pitch maybe Thursday in Cleveland.
I just want him back. The Nats need him back. A lot of good news on the injury front, and everybody in a red jersey and in the first base dugout sick of talking about injuries.
Isn't that the truth? But facts are facts, and it is what it is. But it would be nice.
Mike Rizzo might have to go to medical school in the offseason with all the questions he's been answering about injuries lately.
So I'm wearing a doctor's white coat here one day with a stethoscope around his neck. Zimmerman retired. That's strikeout number 2 for Scott Diamond. Want to get your game tickets for the rest of the season? Game tickets now starting at only $10. Go to nationals.com/tickets. Back to the top of the Nats order. Yet Corbinus will lead off, getting his first start as a major leaguer today. And Steve Lombardozzi. Diamond delivers, swinging foul back. Corbinus from the University of California, all-pack performer. Played third base a couple of years in college, then went to second. And prepared for this major league trip at Hagerstown, at Potomac, Harrisburg, and Syracuse.
Well, it'd be fun for Nats fans to watch this guy hit a ball in the gap, because he can fly.
The 119 stolen bases in the 4 minor league season. Count is 2 balls and a strike for the rookie Jeff Corbinus. Born in San Leandro, California, 24 years of age. And the count even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Scott Diamond 4-4, 11th start of the season for him. And the 2-2 pitch. Slow roll to the third. Escobar is going to make a quick play, tough play, safe. And Corbin, his speed, beats it out.
Give him the ball, first big league hit. There it is, throwing it out. Adams got it. Give it to Major League Baseball authenticator guy right there. And Jeff Coburn, his first big league hit, an infield single. And we just talked about the wheels. There they are. Now he got some heat on the base pass too, but it's official. You're in the books. Congratulations. First big league hit. With a sticker on it.
And there it is.
Nice. And there he is.
There he is.
Sporting a pink shirt today.
Coburn at first. Lombardozzi will face Diamond for the second time. He's 0 for 1 with a fly to Parmelee in the first inning. Lombo yesterday as a pinch hitter, 0 for 1. Scoreless game. We're in the bottom of the third, the first of 2 today at Nats Park. Right back at you again tonight, 7:05, the first pitch.
A good time to create something if you're thinking about a hit and run. Speed on the bases. Lombardozzi can handle the bat.
Had 1 out.
Got a strike thrower on the mound. If you're thinking about doing it, it's a good count to do it. And Ron Gardner thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So Scott Diamond thinking the same thing. You got to keep Coburn is tight at first base. He's on the run. Line drive to center. Drifting back. Hicks coming in to get it. And Coburn could be doubled off, and he is. Double play. Hicks all the way into Morneau at first, and the Nats retired in the bottom of the third.
Run the Nationals just tried to pull off. And the situation was right? A good base runner, a guy that can handle the bat. You want to create something offensively. But the number one rule as a base runner, hit and run, is A, not to get picked off, and B, when you do run, to roll your head and find the baseball. It's not about stealing the base. It's about knowing where the ball is hit if it is put in play. And right there, I think it was one of those things where Jeff Coburn is the game moving real fast. He just got his first major league hit. And every once in a while as a base runner, when you roll your head into the plate, you don't actually see where you're looking, meaning you can roll your head, but you don't always see contact and see the angle of the baseball off the bat. Sometimes it takes more than rolling your head. You have to really look in there for 2 or 3 steps to find the ball off the bat. And like I said, everything probably a whirlwind right now for the National center fielder.
Bouncing ball to Rendon at second. Gives it cleanly on to first. 1 away in the top of the 4th. Well, Justin Morneau retired.
Now, even though that hit and run didn't work out the way they wanted to, Lombardozzi, nice swing right there, line drive. Double play. Didn't go down like they scripted it, but I like the move right there. I mean, you're talking about Davey Johnson trying to get something going, get his offense going. And if it's first and third right there, that's a great call. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want it to.
And Chris Parmelee with a line drive in the right field, and the Twins have their first hit of the afternoon. And only their 4th base runner. Take a look at the STG inside the numbers. Minnesota's won the last 10 road games when giving up 3 runs or less. Well, that scored 3 or less in 7 straight games. Aaron Hicks up for the second time. He struck out in the second, one of 6 strikeout today for Jordan Zimmerman. Hicks 1 for 2 in yesterday's game, swinging a high fly ball to right. Worth drifting back, calling off. Covenus, he's got it, and there's 1 away, 2 away.
Yeah, Johnny, there's different schools of thought, kind of like the way guys wear their uniforms on day games and sunglasses. You look at Chris Parmelee on first base. That's how I used to do it. I would go Oakleys with as much eye black as I could because my biggest fear was losing a ball in the sun. And there's other guys that maybe feel uncomfortable wearing sunglasses, but it's a dangerous thing in a day game to go out there, what I call naked, without sunglasses or eye black or anything on. It's just a comfort thing.
Is one better than the other, sunglasses or the eye black?
I usually just do them all.
Zimmerman with a force to Rendon at second, forcing Parmelee, and the Twins are gone. In a scoreless game at Nationals Park. This afternoon.
I think that is a bad gate that Big Bill's got going right there. I don't know what his deal is. Then Teddy gets smoked by something.
Out of the stands.
Locust.
And then boom.
Flies. It's raining frogs. I don't know what it is, but the interesting part was Teddy laid there and they had to have 2 guys come out and help him get up. So Teddy may be on the DL. We'll keep you posted. When we know something, you'll know something. But seriously, 2 guys came out there. He laid there for about 15 seconds and had to help him off the field. That would be a big concussion.
Yeah, big loss too. Teddy's got till June 20th to recover. Next game back home here. So the Nats bottom of the fourth. Ryan Zimmerman will lead it off against the left-hander Scott Diamond. Diamond and Jordan Zimmerman pitching outstanding baseball today. Zimmerman bounced into a ground out to Florimon in the first inning, 6-3. 1 ball and 1 strike. But in his career against left-handed batters, Jordan's had outstanding numbers. Brother Ryan, 316 batting average. The season at 269, but at home hitting 301. And once again today, hits been tough to come by. Nats have 3 of the 4 in the game. And Diamond comes inside, 89. And it's 2-2. Jason Worth patiently awaiting, then Adam LaRoche. Strikeout number 3 for Scott Diamond. Hollywood Casino League leaders, slots and tables and dining, the ultimate triple play at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. Interleague minimum, the fewest career at-bats and home runs. Jason Worth, 13.38. Bautista and Texera there. Done. 1 out of every 14 times he hits a home run. Like to see one today. They had one yesterday.
Hit the ball hard his first time up to left field between short and third on a 2-1 fastball right down the middle.
Yeah, the 1-0 pitch to Jason in there for a strike. FP, don't you get the feeling that just once the ball club can get everything going, get a win or 2 under their belt, things are going to start to mushroom and steamroll and go in the right direction?
Well, that's the plan.
I figured that out, didn't I?
That's what Davey Johnson would like to see, and it's easy. It's not as easy as flipping a switch.
In the hole. Worth on base again. Up twice, on base twice. And that is hit number 4 for the Nats and number 2 for Worth.
And Jason Worth seeing Scott Diamond big today, second time facing him, second hit. So 2 of the 4 Nats hits to the 4-hole guy today, Jason Worth, both scalded to left field. Too hot to handle for Florimon.
Now the Nationals have had hits in every inning except the first. And they got a man on with 1 down, and that'll bring up Adam LaRoche for the second time. Yeah, Pete, we were talking before the ball game about how difficult things are when you're standing back looking at what these guys have to do and what you had to do as a major league player. And that's the great thing about baseball. You never know. No 2 games are the same. No 2 swings are the same. No 2 momentum swings are the same.
And no 2 seasons are ever the same.
Well.
And from year to year as a player and year to year as a team, you have to establish your identity and what kind of ball club are we going to be this year. And I think the Nats still trying to figure that out right now, but I think health has a lot to do with what's gone on. April 14th is the last time Davey Johnson has been able to stamp his opening day lineup.
There's a base hit into right. And LaRoche is on. And at the end, the Nats have 2 on as they did in the second inning. Back-to-back hits from Jason Worth and Adam LaRoche.
A pretty good swing right here by Adam LaRoche. He's got a little cutter that started on the inner half, ran to the middle of the plate, using that hole created by Jason Worth. Smokes a ground ball into right field, first and second, 1 out, and that's in business.
And it'll bring up Ian Desmond for the second time. He's got a base hit in the second inning. Nats have 5 now.
I mean, you just get the feeling the way things are going today that Jordan Zimmermann just needs 1 run.
Bouncing ball in the gap. That's a base hit from Desmond. Worth rounding third. Heading for home. The throw, and he is out at the plate.
Well, we showed you the arm of Thomas when Jason Worth was on second base in the second inning on the fly ball from Anthony Rendon. He tried to double him up at second. Worth just got in, and watch this throw. A bullet right on the money, a 1-hop seed, dug out nicely by Ryan Doumit. Late tough slide by Jason Worth, but what a throw by Thomas in left field to gun down Worth.
And I think Chris Conroy just making sure he held on to the ball before he made the call.
Yeah, and Jason Worth's shin right on Ryan Doumit's shin guard.
But on the play, Desmond goes to second, and LaRoche winds up at third. So 2 runners in scoring position for Anthony Rendon. But there's 2 outs.
Better throws we've seen this year from Clete Thomas.
Got some arm, doesn't he? Came up from AAA Rochester on the 3rd of June. Made his first start a couple of nights at Kansas City. And Thomas getting that start to left field today for the Twins.
Oh, Anthony Rendon has a chance to make everybody forget about that throw by Clete Thomas with a base hit right here.
Young guy loved to get RBIs number 2 and 3 with a base knock. 1 ball and 1 strike, 2 outs. Looks at ball 2. Got Diamond in his career 17 and 18 with a earned run average at an even 4. Had a whale of a start his last time out, shutting out Seattle over 6. And a 10-0 Minnesota win. 2-1 to Rendon. Base hit. Great play by Florimon under first. Ball gets away from Justin Morneau, and 2 runs will score.
Well, that's a big hit the Nats have been looking for. I don't know how they scored this, but it should be a base hit. And maybe the error on the second run scoring, but this ball was roped by Anthony Rendon. Nice play right here by Florimon, selling out. It looked like he was about to save at least 1 run, maybe 2 with a good throw.
I think he beat it, though, didn't he?
Yeah, Morneau tried to stay on the base right there. He beat the throw either way, but you know, that's what the Nationals have been looking for this whole homestand. Big knock right there by Anthony Rendon, picking up his ball club big time.
And LaRoche scores. Desmond scores. The Nats take a 2-0 lead. That'll bring up Kurt Suzuki. Rendon at first base. Ground out in the second, hitting .236 now. 0 for 1 this afternoon. And Jordan Zimmermann on deck.
I'll tell you what, the more you watch Anthony Rendon hit his approach at the plate, how quiet he is with the lower half, how the barrel finds, the ball finds a barrel, easy for me to say, of his bat. It seems consistently. I mean, first time I'll be that ball to deep left field. Yesterday, all those good at-bats where he's barreling up the baseball.
With a pitch outside.
He can hit way better than I can talk. There's no doubt about that.
Didn't want to mention that. They think it's easy, huh? 2 balls and a strike to the Nats catcher. 2 runs are in. Nats lead at 2-0. I don't think they give Rendon a hit in that, did they?
They did. It's a hit and error. Error on the throw, second run score in the air.
Popped out to Dozier. He's battling the sun and had the same problem Rendon had, hauling it in at second base. But the Nats strike first. They lead 2-0 as we head to the top of the fifth.
$16 daily departures between D.C. and New York. Book now at Amtrak.com. At 2-0 Nationals, Ian Desmond extends his hitting streak to 11 games. Anthony Rendon with a big RBI single right there. And Jordan Zimmermann has been doing his thing. Spectacular so far once again. He's been doing it with pretty good fastball command, 95-96. The curveball, to me, has been the best secondary pitch. You see it right there. And another curveball in the dirt. And that's a feel thing for him between the slider and the curveball. Today, the curveball has been great, and so is Jordan Zimmermann. Just one single so far in this game to Chris Parmelee. 6 strikeouts, 4 groundouts, 2 flyouts.
And it's good that Zimmerman's giving him this kind of an effort today, because last night the Nats used 8 pitchers, the Twins used 6 pitchers.
And that was a great effort by Pedro Florimon on the Anthony Rendon single. But that's something that as he gets older in this game, he'll learn. You know, you did a good job just to keep that ball in the infield and maybe hold that throw. Young players try to make the spectacular play, try to get on the highlights.
Yep, sure.
Now that's one where Rendon was going to be safe either way. You can't fault the guy for the effort. But as he gets older and develops as a everyday major league veteran shortstop, probably hold on to that ball later in his career.
And they give Rendon a hit. The Nats have 7 now. The error on the play as well. 2-0 Washington. We're in the top of the 5th inning here at Nats Park on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. One more to come tonight in this day-night doubleheader. Rendon at second base gets the RBI as the young guy comes through in the clutch this afternoon. And the count 2-2 to Pedro Florimon, who made that great play at shortstop on the Rendon hit. Just to get to the ball was enough. And a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 7 today for Jordan Zimmermann.
Nissan on the pitch track, 94 miles an hour, challenge fastball right down the middle. And Pedro Florimon can't catch up. A little late sink there, running back over the middle of the plate. That late hop on the heater that we've seen all year from Jordan Zimmermann.
Zimmermann strike out high. He struck out 8 against the Braves. Bouncer down to third. Great play by Zimmermann across the diamond. Arosha's got a stretch, and he pulled him off the bag. So Diamond on.
And Scott Diamond pulling the ball down the line. Or slapping the ball down the line, I should say. And Zimmermann sets himself. And Adam LaRoche does everything he possibly can on the backside. And another throwing error for Ryan Zimmerman.
So Diamond on at first. After striking out his first time up, and back to the top of the Twins lineup we go with Pedro Escobar, then Clete Thomas and Ryan Doman. 2-0 Nationals. Twins have had only one base hit in this ball game. It was Chris Parmelee's single back in the fourth inning, last inning. Zimmerman 7 strikeouts. He struck out 8 against the Braves. That was in Atlanta May 1st. 7 against the Tigers May 8th. So the most since then. Dodge inside the numbers today. Leadoff hitters. Last of the major league are the Twins at 176. 54 total bases and a 229 on base percentage. And the 0-2.
I saw something interesting on the internet the other day. It was about errors for third baseman. It had Pedro Alvarez with 9 for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and how many runs had scored after his 9 errors. 2 runs, and the Pirates were 5-4 in those games that he made errors. When I read that, it also said that Ryan Zimmerman had 10 errors. The Nats are 2-7 when he makes an error, and 11 runs have scored after his errors. Same amount of errors as Pedro Alvarez, pretty much, and it just goes to show you what has happened after the Ryan Zimmerman error. Not so much the error itself, but we always talk about picking guys up. When you look at the Pirates, he's made 9, and only 2 runs have scored. Right. Zimmerman has made 11 now with that one, and 11 runs have scored.
And FP, not to mention how many times LaRoche has saved guys at first base with some of these plays he's made over there. He did his best, as you just mentioned, to try to keep his foot in the bag.
Yeah, tremendous footwork around the bag, but
the best. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Escobar. We've got 1 away. And Diamond down at first base. Clete Thomas, Ryan Doman will follow. Jordan Zimmerman working on a 1-hitter here in the top of the 5th inning. Has not lost a game at home since May 17th of last season. And phenomenal numbers at Nats Park. 17 starts. His last 17, he's 10-0. And he's got it all working today. Pitch count getting up there a little bit now. It's up to 82 in the 5th inning. And he's got the Twins third baseman full with a count, 3-2. Escobar with a ground out and a walk. And a swing and a high fly down the left side. Lombardozzi over in foul territory, grabs it, and there's 2 away. Diamond retreats back to first. Don't forget the All-Star Game is coming up. The 84th Major League Baseball All-Star Game at Citi Field, July 16th. You can send your favorite National to that All-Star contest. Vote early, vote often, and vote Nationals. Vote online at nationals.com/vote. 2 away in the 5th.
I guess that point I was trying to make, Johnny, is yeah, it's the big leagues. You got to make the play, but I'm astounded on how many runs have scored and how much, I guess, lack of picking somebody up there's been when those errors have been made.
Bouncing ball to LaRoche, unassisted, and Minnesota is gone in the 5th. 2-0 Nats, heading to the bottom of number 5. Corporate National Troop Recognition. We serve today for a better tomorrow. And when the troops come out, everybody with a standing ovation for them. Players, umpires, and they deserve it and more for what they do for our nation. 2-7-2 for the Nats and 0-1-1 for the Twins today. Great to have you spending Sunday afternoon with us. Johnny Holiday and FP Santangelo. Bob is back with the ball club and back with his partner on Tuesday. Well, game 2 coming up tonight at 7:05 here at Nats Park of this day-night doubleheader. Then you guys go to Colorado.
You should come with us.
I don't think so.
You jump on the plane with us after the game.
Nope. I think I'll stay here. Go back and work with my partner, Ray Knight, and you can work with your partner, Bob Carpenter.
You guys love those West Coast games, don't you?
Oh,
Post-game shows at 3 in the morning.
And you love having to stay around and do drop-ins at 2 o'clock. You want to get out, especially in San Francisco. You don't want to stick around and do a hit with us.
I do. I love coming out with you. Kidding me?
Zimmerman bouncing ball to short. Nice play by Florimon on the first. 1 up, 1 down. Well, 3 o'clock in the East Coast. Johnny Holiday and FP Santangelo. Great to have you with us. Julie Alexandria down around the dugout today as the Nats looking to get their 30th win of the season and climb within 1 game of 500. We are watching another masterful pitching performance from Jordan Zimmerman, which everybody kind of comes to expect. He's been so good and so consistent all season long. You have Kobernus will step in. 2 of the young guys today at the top of Davey Johnson's lineup. Kobernus, then Lombardozzi.
That's rookies with 2 of their 7 hits. Kobernus, Rendon.
Yeah, his first major league base hit, his last time up. Now from San Leandro, California.
Well, with Eric Davis and Drew Storen, clubhouse chemistry just got way worse with Jeff Kobernus because they went to Stanford and he went to Cal. And those schools don't like each other.
That's not good.
That's not good at all.
Not at all. No. He probably requested for his locker to be as far away from those guys as he could get.
He's probably having trouble wearing red, too.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the smart guys.
There they are. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Kobernus. 6'2", 210. Got a birthday coming up later the month, June 30th. That'll be 25. We had a chance to visit with him, FP, I think the first or second day he came up, and what a nice kid. Well, they all are, for that matter. Great young guys, and they're all very, very happy and excited to be at the major league level.
It's hard to be grouchy when you're a big leaguer, right?
Yeah.
Although, there has been a few instances.
They're no longer here. Kobernus will walk. Onto the first free pass given up by Scott Diamond today.
Let's check out Jeff Kobernus' first big league knock. 20 years from now, it will be a line drive off the left field wall, but today he's in the books with an infield single. And he'll take it because that's going on his mantle, and it's something he'll cherish the rest of his life. It's a moment you never forget, especially when a guy in a pink shirt puts a sticker on your baseball.
Kobernus on with a walk, and Lombardozzi will try to move him around as the Nationals try to pad this 2-0 lead. Crowd today almost as big as yesterday with a sellout on Saturday. Really enjoying this sunshine. Beautiful day at one of the most beautiful parks in America, Nats Park. Little League Day today as well, FP. You played Little League, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. It's nice to see all the kids walking around the field before the game.
Uniforms on, yeah. Managers, coaches. Nothing like Little League, huh? Bouncing ball Nice play by Morneau on the second for one. No throw back to first. Diamond slow to get over there. Lombardozzi. And the force out of Kobernus at second is on at first, and Zimmerman will step in.
You know, just kind of tie a bow on the whole Ryan Zimmerman throwing stuff at third base. You know, I was here at 10:30 this morning. Neither team hit today, so there was no batting practice. Nobody on the field but the guy in the batter's box with coaches taking ground balls at third base. So it's not for lack of effort. Trying to work on things. You wonder how stable that shoulder really is. But there was one guy out here today working on ground balls at 10:30 in the morning. It was Ryan Zimmerman.
And with that operation in the offseason. And he has made some spectacular plays at third. Long drive to right. Drifting back off the wall over the head of Parmelee. Rounding third and being held at third as Zimmerman goes into second. Lombardozzi at third. And a double for Ryan Zimmerman.
You see the reaction from Zimmerman on second. He thought he got this. Thought this was 4-0 Nationals. Good extension right there. Look at the head down the baseball. Classic Ryan Zimmerman swing. But give Parmelee credit for playing that ball off the wall perfectly to keep Steve Lombardozzi from scoring. Trenton Jewett had to hold him because of the good play by Chris Parmelee in right field. You don't play that ball flawlessly off the wall in a hop. It's 3-0.
And Jim's got his 7th double of the season. And Jason Worth already with 2 hits for the afternoon. They're going to pass him. An intentional walk.
That's about as wide as an intentional ball can be right there.
Almost went past Doman.
Scott Diamond, he almost hit Davey Johnson with that one.
They're going to walk Worth to get to the left-handed batting Adam LaRoche. I don't have to tell you what LaRoche is thinking in the on-deck circle. That's with their 8th hit of the game. Zimmerman at second, Lombardozzi at third. And Jason Worth loads him up at first. Second walk for Scott Diamond.
Somebody was talking to me the other day about speeding up the game and how they should take the intentional walk out of baseball. It slows the game down. What did that just take? 30 seconds? A minute? That's really going to speed up the game by
not even a minute,
saying
no.
Put them on? And he almost threw one away and led to a run. That would never happen if he didn't have the intentional walk.
Oh, correct you are. Breaking ball to LaRoche in there for a strike.
I love the way Adam LaRoche can just look at an umpire and say a million things with just a look.
Without saying a word.
On what he thinks about the call.
Against left-handers, LaRoche hitting .333. Breaking ball misses outside. 1 ball and a strike. He's driven at 18. Lombardozzi at third. Ryan Zimmerman at second, and Jason Worth at first. Bases loaded, 2 out. Bouncing ball to second. It's off of Dozier. And a run will score.
I mean, the last 2 innings, the line is moving for the Nationals. 6 hitters last inning. 6 hitters and counting this inning. And Adam LaRoche, after an intentional walk to Jason Worth, hits a one-hop bullet to Brian Dozier. Tried to get in front of that baseball. Kind of got handcuffed a little bit. We'll see how they score that. That ball was hit hard by Adam LaRoche.
And that's going to make it a 3-0 game. As Presley gets ready to heat up in that Twins bullpen.
Brian Dozier tried to get in front. This ball was hit so hard. This is the end of the play after he'd already kicked it. Tried to glove flip it to second base, but the initial ground ball, he got caught in between the backhand and getting in front of it. A lot of guys would backhand this baseball, but he kind of slid to the right, tried to get in front of it, keep the ball in front of him. You can't fault the effort right there by Dozier, but how'd they score that? Base hit?
Base hit. Want to switch to 100% fiber optic Verizon Fios. Supercharge your internet speeds. And with the bases loaded, Ian Desmond with a chance to get a big knock. Nationals with their 9th hit of the afternoon. LaRoche on at first. Jason Worth down at second. Ryan Zimmerman at third with 2 down. And the pitch. 1-1.
Well, this is where, if you're Ian Desmond, you're thinking about putting this one on ice right now with a big blow.
And it certainly would make Jordan Zimmerman feel mighty comfortable. He's got a 3-0 lead, 1 run in. And the 1-1. Up the middle, base hit. 1 run will score. Rounding third, Jason Worth. He will score. And the Nats have a 5-0 lead.
Another big knock from Ian Desmond. Just chases that curveball down the dirt. You see the bat flip. He knew it was going to drop. So big 2-out knock for a couple of more runs. Ian Desmond 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs, having a big day here in Game 1.
Big day is right.
Well, I'll tell you what, Johnny, as a player, when you have the thought process, if I'm getting 10 at-bats today, it's so nice to get some knocks in that first game to where you're not thinking about it pressing going into Game 2.
Nationals with a 5-0 lead. Call to the bullpen is packaged by the UPS store. We love logistics. Scott Diamond's day is done for the Twins. Three runs across already to lead at 5-0. That'll be Ryan Presley's time to come in from the bullpen in his 20th appearance of the year. He'll face Anthony Rendon. That ball gets away from Ryan Doumit. Back to the screen. The runners advance. LaRoche to third and Desmond down to second.
So Presley, well, actually a 5-pitch guy. Fastball, slider, curveball, change, and wild pitch. Fastball averages 93 miles an hour.
That's the FP scouting report. Nice job.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Nailed it.
Last 7 appearances, Presley's been terrific. Only given up 2 hits, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. 5-0 Nationals with 10 hits in the ball game. And the youngster Anthony Rendon has one of them, takes a call strike. He's 1 for 2 today with an RBI. Got 2 now for the season. He's got another base hit down the right field line. He'll get 2. He'll drive in 2. And the Nats now lead it 7-0.
He can hit. Flat out hit. And watch him stay on this off-speed pitch right here. 2-1 count, you're thinking fastball. Kept his hands back. I mean, that's just a reactionary swing to a guy that was looking for a fastball. Got off-speed, let it travel, backed it up. Another 2-out knock here in the 5th for the Nationals. Offense is fun.
Isn't it fun? Makes everybody feel good. The fans really loving this one today. That's breaking it open to 11 hits. They pushed across 5 runs in this inning alone, with 4 base hits. Rendon at second with a double. And Kurt Suzuki. It's a pop down the right side in the stands about 6 rows back. No play for Justin Morneau.
Time to have a little fun, huh? Pizza, 7 runs, 50% off. That was a pizza knock there from
Do they deliver up here?
Between games, it better.
Games, okay.
And it better be 100% off.
Remember last year we were talking about milkshakes. We got a couple of milkshakes brought up here.
Well, I know there's going to be no spread, so we need some food between games. Jason Worth loves pizza. Steve McCaddy loves pizza.
Yeah. We will share it with the guys, believe me. Diamond goes 4 2/3, gives up 5 runs. And Jordan Zimmerman 0 for 2 with a strikeout and ground out. That doesn't matter. What matters, he's pitching a whale of a game. And the pitch to Anthony Rendon. 2 balls and a strike. Those milkshakes they brought last year were the biggest I've ever seen.
Yeah, he likes pizza, but it's gluten-free pizza.
Now, is he not the best at? You've been around a lot of pitching coaches.
I'm talking about Jason Worth.
Oh, I was talking about McCaddy. On the wild pitch, down to third goes Rendon. Things not going well so far for Ryan Presley out of the bullpen. Count is 3-1 to the Nats catcher. Presley last worked against Kansas City earlier in the week. And Suzuki draws a walk.
And that'll bring up the guy that started this whole rally with a ground out to shortstop, Jordan Zimmerman.
And he was forced at second by Cobernis, but after that, look out. Knocked Diamond out of the game. And Jordan can swing a pretty good bat. 1 ball, no strikes. 7-0 Washington. Pop off behind the Nationals dugout. That's out of play. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Presley delivers, called strike 2. On that Nissan pitch track, Zimmerman pops it up, strikes out, and he is retired. But not before the Nationals push across 5 runs in the bottom of the 5th. Navy Federal Credit Union. 4 million members and 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union. Story today, the last 2 innings for the Nats. They put up 2 in the 4th, 5 more in the 5th. They lead it 7-0.
It's time for your head and shoulders whiff, and we're going to go back to the 3rd inning. Ryan Doumit versus, obviously, Jordan Zimmerman. Now, first pitch, get me over curveball, steal strike 1. Second pitch, another curveball, fish ain't biting. Then he goes fastball 94 in the inner half. A little slider up in the zone. Foul straight back, and he goes 87-mile-an-hour changeup for the strikeout of Ryan Doumit.
So Zimmerman goes to work here in the top of the 6th. With a 7-0 cushion, he has struck out 7 batters.
In game 2, we got to get Joe Mauer in on that one, don't we? I mean, we almost have to.
Yeah. Well, you got 3 hours between games to go down and work on him.
It's like a contractual thing, isn't it?
The only base hit for the Twins today from Chris Parmelee. Back of the Twins, 4th. 7-11-2 for the Nats. 0-1-1 for Minnesota. They are 6-6 in interleague play. Ryan Doumit leads it off from Justin Morneau, and the Twin with the only hit, Chris Parmelee. Jordan up to 88 pitches this afternoon with 61 strikes. Earned run average at 2.04. Not a lot to show for Minnesota's offensive attack today. 1 hit, the single by Chris Parmelee. Zimmerman delivers, bouncing ball to Anthony Rendon at second, on to first. And a nice grab by Adam LaRoche. 1 up, 1 down.
A nice play right there by Anthony Rendon. Was his 3rd game at second base ever. He played it as a youngster a little bit, but a natural third baseman. Watch this, ranging far to his left. Nice stab of the ball. Strong arm, obviously, if you're a third baseman. Good catch by LaRoche. He's used to seeing some bullets from Danny Espinosa over there, but Anthony Rendon has passed every test so far early in his second base career here for the Nats. Not to mention he can hit.
And we've seen that today. A couple of hits for him. Justin Morneau He was 1 for 3 yesterday with a double. And he is 0 for 2 today. And the count, 2 balls and no strikes to the Twins first baseman. With Parmelee on deck, then Aaron Hicks. Zimmerman began the game today. Swing and a high. Fly ball back. Rendon looking up, batting in the sun. Says, I got it. He has it.
And he gets a sarcastic cheer from Nats fans. And he's laughing with the fans. How cool is that?
That's great. That is great.
Oh, the guy's done it all today. Offensively, defensively. Got on him a little bit for not wearing sunglasses early in the game, but watch this. Listen to the crowd after he catches it.
I think he took a little bow there, too, didn't he?
Listen to the crowd. And then he smiles as he gets a standing ovation for catching a pop-up. Yes. And a high five from his teammate. Good stuff.
Little thumbs up to Jason Worth and Wright.
I just love to see guys having fun playing the game.
Knowing Jason, he probably said, hey, nice catch. 2 down to the Twins, 6th. With Morneau retired at Parmelee. Swings through that 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Jordan Zimmerman. Look at a line drive to right. That ball is a shot, and it's off the wall. Worth will play it in a couple of hops. And Parmelee in, standing up at second with a double. Minnesota's second hit of the afternoon.
Chris Parmelee is a good player. I mean, he's played right field as good as we've seen anybody play it here today. The one guy in the Twins lineup that's seeing Jordan Zimmerman well walked his first time up. Broke up the no-hitter his second time up, and a double here his third time up. So on base all 3 times, 2 hits. This one a ringing double off the top of the right center field fence. And if Chris Parmelee had missed the Twins bus this morning, we'd be talking about a no-hitter.
That's right. Only base notch for Minnesota. Aaron Hicks up for the 3rd time. He struck out, then flied to Worth and right. That's with a 7-0 lead. 2 away in the 6th. Today's the first doubleheader. A pop to left. In will come Steve Lombardozzi. He'll haul it in, and the Twins go quietly into 6th. We go to the bottom, number 6. Nationals with a 7-0 lead over Minnesota. Our game summary brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Arlington and Mercedes-Benz of Alexandria. What a day for Desmond, Anthony Rendon, and for Jordan Zimmerman. There's a couple of RBIs. Rendon 3. And as we go to the bottom of the 6th, Corbin is retired. And there's one quick up, one quick out.
Pretty good swing right there. Bullet right at Pedro Florimon. Some nuts in the dugout for Jeff Corbin. He's having a nice day here in his first major league start.
So the young guys in this ball club making their presence felt today. Obertus, Rendon, Lombardozzi. And Steve from the left side of the plate hitting for the 4th time. Bounced into a double play, had a fielder's choice, scored a run in the 5th. And the count's 1-1. Presley on the mound in relief of Scott Diamond. And a shot up the middle. Another base hit for Lombardozzi. And the 12th for the Nats today.
So there's Junior on first base. Let's check out Senior when he was a Minnesota Twin. I mean, the resemblance uncanny. We watched this video today before the game. Just unreal stuff. Watching Steve's dad as a Minnesota Twin going deep right there. Getting some high fives at home plate. And look at the body shape. I mean, they're identical.
Even looks like him, doesn't it?
That's just great stuff.
And Steve's dad coaching baseball at Good Counsel High School.
Ran into him the other day in the stands, and he was telling me how he grips on every single at-bat for his son. He's up there in the box with him. I can't imagine how nerve-wracking it is for a dad to watch your son play at the major league level. It must be unreal.
You may be feeling that soon.
Oh,
you never know.
You don't, but
nope.
It's just crazy when you look at the video of his dad and how similar they are. Same style of player, utility guys, played the game the right way, played hard every single day. Maybe not wowing you with their natural ability, but if you watch them play over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, you appreciate how they'll help you win a baseball game.
You know, Presley is pulled up injured. Rod Gardner out of the dugout. The trainers come out, and something's wrong with Ryan Presley. Well, he bolted out of that dugout. Well, I guess he's going to convince him that's going to be it. He cannot continue. Not sure what he did. We'll take a break. We'll be back to Nationals Park as they bring in another reliever from the Twins bullpen. 7-0 with 12 hits backing his pitching today. Minnesota with 2 base hits, 1 on and 1 out here. In the 6th inning, Presley had to retire some sort of an injury. They brought in Josh Renicky out of the bullpen. It'll take him some time to loosen up because nobody was throwing in that Minnesota bullpen. This moment in history is brought to you by Volkswagen. Volkswagen Springtoberfest events going on now. Visit VWDealer.com today.
Well, we go back to June 9th, 1999. After being ejected the 12th inning, Bobby Valentine came back in the dugout. A little disguise. I don't know how many people he had fooled. Check out Oral Hershiser right there on the left, trying to cover his skipper. Eye black stickers as a mustache, glasses on. I bet you he wishes he had those in Boston last year.
Got suspended, fined $5,000. Wonder how long he stayed in the dugout till they finally discovered it was him.
No idea.
Josh Renicky, in his 25th game, he's 2-1. He also pitched last night. 1 inning, gave up the 1 hit.
A 4-pitch guy, fastball, cutter, curveball change. And for those of you that don't know, when you come in for an injury, you get as many pitches as you want. You can take as long as you want to warm up. I'm going to check out the day of Anthony Rendon today. Now, we talked about the swing and the balance through the swing, how he gets the foot down early. There's not a lot to it. Off-speed pitch right there. Big 2-out RBI. Another run scored on a throwing error, so that led to a couple of runs. And last time up, just staying back so nicely on that off-speed pitch, using the whole field, going the other way for another 2-out knock. So Anthony Rendon, 3 RBIs today, having a big day.
He's got 2. Desi's got 2.
And he dropped the pop-up earlier that he lost in the sun. And he caught that one. Crowd gave him a standing O, and he took a bow.
A fist bump and a bow. Dodge inside the numbers today. Cobertus 1 for 3. Lombardozzi with a base hit, a single and a run scored. Same for Zimmerman, a double and a run scored. Perfect day for Jason Worth. Perfect day for Adam LaRoche with 2 for 3. Desby's got a perfect day, 3 for 3. And Rendon, a couple of hits. This is the kind of day Davey Johnson was looking for, has been looking for a long time.
Yeah, he loves those crooked numbers on the left. Absolutely. Say, well, there's something about just thinking about going to Colorado that can lock you in as a hitter. Knowing that you're going to get on that plane tonight and play some games at Coors Field.
You did last year, didn't it?
That's when they turned things around offensively last year, that 3-game set at Coors Field. The last 3 games of that series, they scored 33 runs. And if you look at the schedule before that, it was a ball club that was having trouble scoring runs, having trouble hitting, just really leaning on their pitching staff early in the season. I think that was in late June last year, and that's when the lineup took off after that series in Colorado. So stay tuned.
And we'll be with you every single night from Colorado. 3 out there, then you go on to Cleveland. And after that, Philadelphia. Back home here on June 20th for the series 6-game homestand against Arizona. And leading it off in the Rockies. You want to check out some happy fans enjoying a great day at the ballpark? There's one right there. DentaQuest provides affordable dental coverage and priceless smiles. Another one. And another one. And reminds you to ask your broker about DentaQuest. Hello, sir. About DentaQuest.
Well, I see that one all the time.
That's the best smile right there. There'll be some folks around his cubicle in the clubhouse after this game, I guarantee you. Josh Renicky's had enough warm-ups. And as soon as we get word on what happened to Presley, we'll pass it along to you. Renicky will face Ryan Zimmerman first. And Lombardozzi down at first. There's one away.
Well, I'm looking at the scores from last June. 3-2, 5-2, lost 2-1. won 3-1, lost 2-1. Then you go to Colorado, and it's 12-5, 11-5. And they lost that last game in Colorado 11-10. But that's where the Bats woke up last year. And if you get online and look at the schedule after that, I mean, they were a run machine. 8, 9, 9, 6. And all started at Coors Field in Colorado a little later than this year at the end of June last year.
It'd be wonders for the ball club. You head to Colorado with a 2-game winning streak. Get this one and get that second one tonight. You got some great momentum. Zimmerman with a high pop down the right side. Coming over is Dozier, calling off Morneau at first base, and Brian Dozier makes the call, makes the catch. So Renick's first batter he faces, Brian Zimmerman, retired. Take the season plan experience to the all-inclusive suite level. For more information about availability and pricing, go to nationals.com/club3. We're at the top of the 6th at Nats Park. 7-0 Nationals leading it. And Jordan Zimmerman on the way. Hopefully of getting his 9th win of the year. Jason Worth with a couple of singles back-to-back. And a walk and a run scored.
An intentional walk in the 5th, and Adam LaRoche made him pay.
With a base hit, knocked him in. And a high pop outside of first base. Morneau over in foul territory. He's got it, and the side is retired. Renick comes in, retires the 2 batters he faces. 7-0 Nats. This day-night doubleheader. Happy to have you joining us this afternoon. Johnny Holiday in for Bob Carpenter. FP Santangelo as always. And got to be loving this one, FP.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Nats are swinging the bats today. You know, you got Jordan Zimmerman on the mound doing his thing. Minus Parmalee, he's throwing a no-hitter. So, you know, one of the better ball games up to this point we've seen this year from the Nationals. And it's fun to talk about some offense. 7 runs on 12 hits. Everybody's swinging the bat. Anthony Rendon looking great up there. So it's been a good day at the ballpark so far.
How about the young guys really coming through, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, Coburnus with his first major league hit, lined out last time, walked. He's been on base twice in the leadoff spot. So a lot of energy from the younger guys here today in game 1.
So we head to the 7th inning here at Nats Park, and Jordan Zimmerman will face Brian Dozier, the Twin second baseman. He'll be followed by Pedro Florimon. And we'll see probably a pinch hitter for Renick, or maybe Garnhire will let him hit. Down 7-0. 12 hits today for the Nats. Making ball outside. 2 balls and 1 strike.
You coming over to my place between games, Johnny? I got top ramen for everybody. If you're going to come over, I have a spread of top ramen if you want to come over between games. I got you.
You got me covered?
Yep.
All right.
Couple blocks.
Do I have to walk?
Put the flavor packet in there. I got you between games.
So out in that bullpen for the Minnesota Twins is Thielbar. Caleb Thielbar warming up. So I'll come over.
Okay. PB&J appetizers too before we get to the ramen.
Ian Cole in the Nats bullpen. And a high pop infield. LaRoche and Rendon deciding who's going to take it. Rendon will take it, and there's one away. Dodge inside the numbers today. Zimmerman, June 8th. Since 2005, June 8th. Most wins. Jordan's got 8. Clippard's got 8 as well out of the bullpen. Most through this date since since 2005. Oh, one away in the Minnesota 7th. Pedro Florimon, 2 strikeouts of the 7 that Zimmerman has today. We got Pedro twice. He was 0 for 4 yesterday. And Zimmerman pitch number 107.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see who starts the National League All-Star game on the mound. Talk about Corbin from Arizona with 9 wins. Wainwright's got 9 wins. Jordan with 8 coming into today.
There's a line drive to right. Jason Wirth right there. Positioned perfectly, and that's the 108th pitch. That's the most that Jordan's thrown in any game this year. 108. And there's 2 quick outs in the 7th.
And the ERA right now for Jordan as we speak, 2.00. That would put him 4th in the National League behind Corbin, who has a 1.98.
And all he does, you talk about consistency. Boy, he's got it.
Well, you go to the complete game category, and he leads the National League, tied with Adam Wainwright with 3. I know there's another month or so to go before the All-Star game, but you might be looking at the NL starter.
With a check swing, Colabello, who just was called up yesterday. Chris has been at the plate 15 times. He's 2 for 15 with a 133 batting average. Zimmerman gets him with a breaking ball. No balls, 2 strikes to Chris Colabello. Ian Cole continues to work in the Nats bullpen. And a 7-0 lead for Jordan Zimmerman. Strikeout number 8. And it's a 1-2-3. And Zimmerman gets a standing ovation behind the Nats dugout as we go to the bottom of the 7th with a 7-0 lead.
Unbelievable.
7th inning stretch. Reminder that Hyundai, always new thinking, always new possibilities. It's the first of two here at Nationals Park today. We'll be coming back with you tonight, 7 o'clock in Masson HD. Day 2, or game 2 of the doubleheader. Nathan Carnes, 0-1 with a 6 even earned run average. Makes his third career start against Samuel Daduno. He is 2-1 with a 3.44. It all begins with Byron Kerr and Ray Knight at 6:30 with Nats Extra. Nats with a 7-0 lead. Zimmerman allowing Minnesota only 2 hits today.
Complete domination from that guy.
What we've come to expect, isn't it? This copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of the Washington Nationals Baseball Club may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals.
But the high note on Take On Me is so much louder when the Nats are ahead. It's ridiculous.
Caleb Thielbar will come in out of the pen in his 8th appearance.
Let's let everybody listen for a sec. Why not?
Thielbar from Northfield, Minnesota. And Chris Marrero is called up to pitch here.
Chris Marrero called up today for the 26th man. If you have a doubleheader, Major League Baseball rules allow you to expand your roster by 1. So Chris Marrero getting the job done at the AAA level, rewarded with a call-up today. And Mike Rizzo said they're going to wait to see after the game whether he stays or not after game 2. Haven't made a decision yet. It's a guy that was hitting .306 in AAA with a .355 on base percentage, .502 slugging percentage, 10 home runs, 44 RBIs.
Another one of those young guys they think highly of. Ground ball to short. And Marrero retired. 6-3. Float him on to Morneau. One away in the Nats 7. Ian Desmond up for the 4th time. Hitting streak now 11 consecutive games. Perfect day at the plate. And that caught Ryan Doumit. That hurt.
Well, you got to absolutely love the game to be a catcher. Those guys get beat up every single day back there. Doumit playing right field yesterday, today behind the plate in game 1, and that's a collarbone. And that's not good.
No. Right off the collarbone.
That'll make you sick to your stomach, queasy, seeing stars. Those guys are as tough as it gets, folks. Every single one of them.
Well, we see it here with Kurt Suzuki all the time. And with Ramos, Solano.
And that's one of the only guys in the ballpark that knows exactly what Doumit's going through right now.
Desmond a 3-for-3 day. Driven in 2 of the Nats' 7 runs. And it's a 1-1 count with 1 down. Nats trying to go 7-4 in interleague play this year. Desi a single in the 2nd, single in the 4th, 2-run single in the 5th. Swinging a drive to right, drifting over. Parmalee in the corner just before he gets to foul territory, makes the catch. So 2 up and 2 down. Ian Kroll continues to get loosen up in the Nationals bullpen. Jimmy Lett standing off there to his left.
I believe Anthony Rendon looking for his first 3-hit day as a major leaguer right here, right now.
Caleb Thielbar delivers. And Rendon fouls it back.
All right.
Good catch.
Oh, then give it away. That's awesome. By the way,
give it to a kid. Well, he's dressed as a kid. Thielbar has been tough out of the bullpen, allowed only 3 hits and 8 career innings pitched with 9 strikeouts. Rendon pops it back off to the right, out of play. And the count's 1-2. Minnesota making the first trip here at Nationals Park, and the first time for the franchise since 1971. Well, they swept the Nats 2008 in Minneapolis, 3-game sweep of that series. Now even at 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. Jordan Zimmermann, another fabulous performance for the Nationals, giving up only 2 hits to Minnesota. Another foul back. Rendon stays alive.
Such a quick bat late. I mean, that's a sign of a good hitter. Obviously, we've talked about getting that foot down early, keeping the head still. It enables you to ID pitches much better when your head isn't moving. But how he fires his hands late like that, just to be able to flick that ball to the right by himself, another pitch, is impressive.
Anthony came up from AAA Syracuse on Tuesday. He is now 4 for 14 since he's been called back. Down even at 2-2. Anthony has 11 hits with the ball club. 4 of those are doubles. Now Thielbar hitting 91 of the gun on that pitch. And the count is full. And he lost it. Rendon gets the walk. That's the first from Thielbar. MLB TV celebrates 11 years with new low yearly prices. You can watch every out-of-market game live at over 350 supported mobile and connected devices at HD quality with MLB TV Premium. Simply visit MLB TV today. MLB.TV. Baseball everywhere. Now Rendon down at first, and Kurt Suzuki will come up to face Caleb Thielbar. And the left-hander delivers, misses outside for ball. Only one other catcher has made more starts behind the plate than Suzuki. In the last 5 years, he'd had 671 starts. Yadier Molina, the Cardinals, 701. That's how durable Kurt Suzuki is. Ahead in the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Bouncer foul down the third base line. Greg Jewett got it, tosses it up to a fan in the stand.
And Jewett's had a lot of customers today.
Welcome customers.
Yeah.
All the Nats runs coming in 2 innings. 2 in the 4th and 5 more in the 5th. You know, the Nats' numbers when they score 3 runs or more, they've won 25 and lost only 7. Line drive, a great catch by Florimon at short. Wow. He has got some kind of glove, and the Nationals retire to the 7th. We go to the top of the 8th at Nationals Park. Washington with a 7-0 lead.
And let's check out the day of Jordan Zimmermann on the mound, and we'll show you some strikeouts. And that two-seam fastball variety right there. Curveball down in the way. Another curveball in the dirt. A little elevator fastball in the 2-strike count. Another heater right there to Scott Diamond. Then a changeup for strike 3. So just had it going on all day. Fastball command was great. The curveball was the out pitch today. Standing ovation when he left the mound. Just another stellar performance from Jordan Zimmermann. It's time for Toyota's K's for Kids. The D.C. area Toyota dealers want to help children at their families by making a donation of $37 to the Children's Inn at NIH for every strikeout by a Nationals pitcher this season. So 8 times 37 today, folks. $296.
And the 3rd time this year, the Jordans allowed only 2 hits in a game. 2 against the Mets on April 21st up at Citi Field. 2 against the Braves in Atlanta on May 1st. And Chris Marrero, who came into pinch hit in the 7th, takes over for LaRoche at first base. Ian Kroll making his 3rd appearance out of the pen.
And a big fastball, 92 to 96, slider to go with it, changeup as well.
How about a 93 to start off? Eduardo Escobar. And a swing and a miss. Ahead of the count quickly, 0-2.
Yeah, things probably starting to slow down a little bit for Kroll to where, you know, your first big league start, head spinning, probably can't even remember it, or I should say appearance. And now, probably just turned into just another baseball game for him, where he's starting to feel a little bit comfortable. Davey Johnson not afraid to use him.
Kroll from Hinsdale, Illinois. Came up in 2009. Making your major league debut. Drifting back, Marrero. Calling off Marrero as Rendon at second. And he'll make the play, drifting into foul territory.
I'll tell you what, Anthony Rendon has got so much better at pop-ups as this game goes along. We know the first one he lost in the sun, had a rough go of it, had to wrestle with it in the infield. And after that, caught the second one with the standing O. And now, hey, every play he makes is a new deal for him at second base. Going down the corner, foul ball, double play, anything he does is a little bit bigger than it would seem for a guy that's never played second base before. He's making it look so easy, you start to forget that he hasn't.
Ran a long way to bring that one in, too, from his normal position. Kroll delivers.
He's having a conversation with Scott Berry out there about the sun right now at second base.
Thomas, a 0 for 3 afternoon. It's a line drive to center. Dominus comes up and makes it, and there's 2 quick outs in the 8th. Ryan Zimmerman Fan Challenge is here. Visit Facebook.com/Massive Nationals before June 16th. Get a video challenging Ryan to any competition of your choice. Now, Ryan's going to pick his 3 favorites. The public will vote to decide who wins. The Ryan Zimmerman Fan Challenge presented by Care First, who encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle.
Handstand push-ups.
I'd like to see that. Ryan Doumit in to face Ian Kroll. Another fly ball. Drifting over Kobernus. Calling off Lombardozzi. A quick 1-2-3-8 for the rookie Ian Kroll. We go to the bottom of number 8 with a 7-0 national shutout.
Time for your Hyundai drive of the game. We're going to go back to the big 5th inning. Ian Desmond, 2 outs. Couple guys aboard. It's an off-speed pitch down, stays through it, lines it up the middle for a big 2-out knock. 3-0 at the time. That made it 5-0. And a couple of base hits after that. A Rendon double. And that's where we stand, 7-0. New thinking, new possibilities with 7 runs here today.
Been a good day. Happy you're joining us for this afternoon. Be back with us again tonight, of course, for that second game. All starting at 6:30. That's extra with Byron and Ray. And then FP and I will be with you before he leaves and heads out west to join the ball club to meet up with Mr. Carpenter in Denver for a 3-game series against the Rockies.
It's a happy dugout right now. Yeah, everyone's got base hits.
Nice to see smiles going all around that dugout. Tyler Moore pinch hitting. And Moore of the season with a 149 batting average. He'll foul it out of play down the left side. That's leading at 7-0. Brilliant 2-hitter today from Jordan Zimmerman. On the way to win number 9. And the pitch foul back.
Well, game 2 becomes important for a lot of different reasons. Number 1, you want to sweep a doubleheader anytime you're playing 2 and you win the first game, but you also want to win a series. It becomes the rubber match immediately with the rain out of doubleheader. And the guy in Samuel Diduno going for the Twins, who's got a nasty cutter, low to mid 90s. Has trouble with command sometimes. A guy you really have to wait out. Watch video on him today. Got a very herky-jerky delivery. So Nathan Karn, Samuel Deduno in game 2.
Wide drive for Moore with a base hit. Number 13 for the Nats today.
Jumping on that hit bandwagon right there with a bullet to center field, and that is a good thing to see.
Nats with the 7 runs today, the most they have plated since the Oriole game May 28th when they won that one 9-3 here at Nats Park.
You come off the bench, your team's got 7 runs, 12 hits. You've been watching everybody hit the ball all day long. And Tyler Moore, who's had a slow start here, with a nice at-bat and a base hit up the middle.
And back to the Nats top of the order. Check swing by Corbinius went back in the seats. Off to the right behind the Nationals dugout. One for 3 afternoon for the rookie Corbinius. First major league hit in the 3rd inning. Off of Scott Diamond. And the pitch from Teodor. 1-1. Caleb Thielbar, the 4th Minnesota pitcher today. Following Ryan Presley and Josh Renicky. Hits the bag at 3rd. That's a base hit for Corbinius. Number 2 of his career. Well, when it's going right, it's going right. 14 base hits.
Well, you could look at it that way, or that ball was going to be down the corner, and it'd be a runner on second with a run scored. That ball was roasted down the left field line, hits the bag, pops up, but that was definitely going to be in the corner. But the fact that it popped up in the air kept Tyler Moore just at second base, but another good at-bat for Jeff Corbinius here today. 3 hard-hit balls.
Boy, FP, you got to like what you see from this young guy, and we've seen it all afternoon from Rendon.
Well, what today allows you to do if you're Davey Johnson is give Denard Span a rest against a lefty every now and then, because Corbinius is showing that he had a little life to the lineup. On base 3 times. That's the name of the game as a leadoff hitter.
Yes, Span sitting this one out, the first of 2. He hopes to play maybe the 2nd game coming up tonight. 1 ball, no strikes to Lombardozzi. We were talking earlier, FP, about, there's Denard, about the father-son combination of Steve Sr. and Jr. We're doing the draft the other day. I think 3 or 4 major leaguers had their sons drafted. Andy Pettitte among them.
Well, it doesn't shock me when you're a kid, you're growing up going to the ballpark with your dad. You grow up around the major league environment. It's you're used to playing baseball since the time you're 2 years old. You're at a ballpark. You're not fazed by it once you finally get there.
Lombardozzi bounced to second. Could be true. 2 on the short for 1. Back to first. Double play. But on the play, Tyler Moore advances over to 3rd. You want to see the future stars of your Nationals? Well, go to PotomacNationals.com for ticket and promotional information. Play the good brand of baseball. 703-590-2311. So 2 away in the Nats 8th. Ryan Zimmerman up for the 5th time today. He's 1 for 4. And so far, 1 for 9 in this series. Jason Worth waiting on deck. And the 1 ball, 1 strike count to Zimmerman. And a double in the 5th when the Nats erupted for those 5 runs. Worth's got some solid numbers too. And the pitch. Swinging a long drive to right, but drifting back is Parmelee. Now he's going to come in, got a beat on it, he's got it. And the inning is over. The side is retired. We go to the top of the ninth at Nats Park. 7-0 Washington.
Hot sauce, and Jordan Zimmermann brought it all day long. Fastball was 95, 96 right out of the gate in the first inning. Only got stronger as the game went along. In his last pitch, here it is, number 111, 96 miles an hour on pitch number 111 from Jordan Zimmermann. Cholula hot sauce and Jordan Zimmermann bringing the heat.
Season-high pitches for Jordan. Xavier Cedeno now gets the call out of the bullpen.
You see his numbers last year with the Houston Astros. Lefty's only hitting .213 in 2012 against Cedeno.
Last year with Houston, ranked number 6 among all the rookies, with 44 appearances with the Astros.
Yeah, fastball, cutter, curveball change. Sink the fastball at 88 miles an hour. Throw that cutter at 86. Likes to throw the curveball a lot in the upper 70s.
Ian Kroll pitching the perfect 8th. Now Cedeno to wrap it up. Hopefully with a perfect 9th and give Jordan Zimmermann win number 9. He will face Justin Morneau, Chris Parmelee, and Aaron Hicks. 4, 5, and 6 batters in the Twins lineup. Bouncer foul past LaRoche at first base. Rather, Marrero at first base. Nats had scored 14 runs the last 7 games they played, but today they played 7 with 14 hits. Another foul back. And quickly, Cedeno ahead in the count. No balls, 2 strikes. And the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball. Beautiful pitch in there for call, strike 3. He caught Morneau looking and off balance.
Let's watch this frisbee at 78 miles an hour. Stites right at him, locks him up, comes back for a strike. I think you get an idea right there why lefties hit so low against him last year.
Well, there's one away on the top of the Twins' 9th. Chris Parmelee has a base hit from Minnesota. In fact, he has 2 of them. Signal of a double ground ball to LaRoche onto Cedeno, and there's 2 quick outs in the top of the 9th. Parmelee retired.
Strange that Drew Strorn is up in the Nationals bullpen right now.
Well, Aaron Hicks strides to the plate. He's the Twins' last hope in this game. with 2 down. And the Nats fans, and again the rhythmic applause. They can sense win number 30 on the horizon. And snap at a little 2-game bump in the road. Hicks takes a pitch outside for ball 1. First doubleheader of the year for the National, and the second for the Twins. Bouncing ball past Zimmerman into left field for the base hit. Minnesota's 3rd of the game.
And just a fastball down and away, pulled it through the hole. And Hicks a much better hitter right-handed than left-handed, hitting .256 this year from the right side.
So Xavier Cedeno will face Brian Dozier, the Twins' second baseman with a man on. Hicks at first, gets quickly ahead in the count 0-1. And the 0-1 pitch. Swinging a foul back. Jordan Zimmerman remains at home. Hasn't lost a game this year. He will be 11-0 in his last 18 starts at Nationals Park. And Scott Diamond had been unbeaten on the road at 3-0 in 5 starts. Nationals 7-14-2, 0-3-1 for Minnesota. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Brian Dozier. Just missed. And it's 2-2. And the pitch. Inside. The count is full. Milwaukee having their way with Philadelphia, leading at 8-1 in the 8th. Bringing a foul down the right side into the seats. And the count remains 3-2.
Oh, look, the Marlins and Mets are in extra innings again today.
They only played 20 last night, huh? Let's play again.
They're in the 10th right now.
They're coming back at 6:30. That's extra. With Ray Knight and with Byron Kerr. And Cedeno walks Brian Dozier. Second game starting at 7:05 tonight. So the Twins here in the 9th inning make a little bit of a noise with a walk and a base hit. With Pedro Florimon next to face Cedeno.
Coming in today, Florimon 125 from the right side, 284 from the left side.
And the 0-1 from Cedeno. Almost got him, and it's 1-1. Josh Willingham in the on-deck circle for Minnesota, the pinch hit. Nationals leading at 7-0. We're in the top of the 9th with 2 away and 2 on. Off the outside corner. Boy, nice pitch. Cedeno bouncing ball. This could do it to Zimmerman at third. On to Guerrero. Game over. Nationals win 7-0. A shutout and the win for Jordan Zimmermann, his 9th of the year.
Obviously, the 7 runs on 14 hits a big story, but to me, game ball goes to Jordan Zimmermann. 7 shutout innings, 2 hits, both to Chris Parmelee, 8 strikeouts, 111 pitches, the last one 96 miles an hour. Unbelievable performance once again from Jordan Zimmermann.
Yeah, nice to see this scene right there. Little high five going on. Nats won it with a shutout, 7-0.